Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the relaunch of Raw Akademix. Raw Akademix is a one-on-one talk show style vlog that features artists, activists, entrepreneurs, entertainment executives, and public figures of color, all hailing from the Los Angeles Metropolitan Area. These deep discussions are to inspire, motivate, and encourage all individuals to reflect on their abilities and reshape the lives of those who live around them. So without further ado, relax, enjoy the show, and don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, or follow buttons before leaving our channels. And once again, welcome to Raw Akademix. This episode's guest is Dr. Pooch. Chapter 1, A Muslim Man. Just to give everybody a rundown of what you do, you're a rapper, but not only are you a rapper, but you are a holistic health healer or health advisor rather. And I mean, how long have you been pursuing the holistic health advising?
Well, since 2012, I got certified as a holistic health coach, is like the technical term. The Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So they really had like a lot of like the upfront different ideologies in medicine. So like the David Wolf's, Andrew Weil, all of these like doctors with different philosophies. So it wasn't one particular modality, and that's what I really liked about it. So I got introduced to a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different ideologies when it comes to medicine. Because we know our medical system is broken. Like they don't know, they don't know anything about anything, man. It's so amazing how far gone they are. But so I started that whole journey. 2012, I started like health coaching clients. And I really was good at it because I was able intuitively to like tap into to what was ailing that person, what would help them, and and for myself too. Of course, like we're always in it for our own selves and for our families, and so I just started learning here, learning there, and I'm still learning. I don't know everything. I'm still learning, but I've been able, with the little bit that I know, I've been able to do quite a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's beautiful.
So before we dive too deep into everything that it is that you do, what if somebody were to ask you how would you describe yourself without using the terms husband, father, brother, or son? How would they describe you?
It's a good question. I would say a man, a man, and that has a lot of connotations, and we've kind of diluted those connotations in our society, but a man encompasses all of those things, which are father, husband, son. It really, like, you go through the full spectrum of what that means as a man, maybe even with a capital M, man, invoking the godliness and the divine creation of that. A man, a Muslim, I hold fast to that, and that's a reflection of the character and the values as well. So I think a Muslim man like that goes a long way. That speaks volumes, I think. Yeah.
And now growing up, you grew up in a diverse household, correct? Yeah. And I think I remember seeing on one of your profiles, like your mother came from a Jewish background, correct?
Yeah.
Now, would you say it was hard kind of growing up in a family that was half Jewish, half Muslim?
Well, the thing is that so my mom was like on the journey So her family is originally Hungarian. The story goes that they came from Spain, and they migrated up into Hungary. So they had a close connection with ancient Spain, Andalusia, which is, we know that was controlled by the Moors. The early Muslims had a close affinity with the Jewish people at that time, right? And so they were really they were together. And so her family, my mom's family, migrated and throughout Europe and Portugal, and so the family lore says that they came from that line. And she was on that journey of like finding herself, I guess.
Right.
And she actually converted to Islam while I was in her womb.
Nice.
So I was like the first child that's technically born Muslim, because with the Jewish tradition, if the mother is Jewish, then the child is Jewish, right? So I could still claim Judaism if I wanted and just prove my, my where I'm from and my family line. But I was raised 100% Muslim. Like my mom completely accepted the faith. I grew up in one of the masjids over off of Vermont, and I'm like really just I grew up in that. My mom is to this day she's really one of the most devout Muslims I've ever seen.
Nice.
Like she's her name is praised like in all communities. Like she works a lot with like immigrant communities, and I mean she's done more than really like literally anybody that I know, black, white, anything. Like she's helped more minorities and immigrants than anybody that I know. Like so she is the personification of Islam to me, So yeah, so it wasn't really an issue. Like of course black and white, like her side wasn't really that big, so I didn't have any like cousins, and it's kind of weird because it's like she married Senegalese man, like West African, you know what I'm saying, like pitch black, like 2 shades, 3 shades darker than you, black, and straight from Senegal,
right?
So there was that cultural dynamic at the house, and of course he was a dominant type of man, so it was like more so his culture that was permeated throughout the house, and yeah, man. So it never really phased us, And ironically, what I was saying is that her brother, she only has one brother, and her brother married a Jamaican woman, and they were some of the first, like literally some of the first Rastafarians in New York. To the point that my uncle's house was the HQ. Like when Bob Marley and them were coming to the US, like they were with my uncle and them.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like they signed up and got with the 12 tribes of Israel like together. Like you know what I'm saying? In the same so it's like they both had that affinity to another culture, and that's why I really believe the family lore. Like her line really came from they're saying Maimonides, which is like he's like a big a philosopher, scientist. He's venerated to this day in the south of France. But Maimonides was like the creme de la creme of the Jewish like kind of circles in Spain.
Right.
And so they're my family's saying that that's where we're from. But it makes sense, and I've been to Spain with my mom, and ancient Spain. We did a tour of all of Andalusia and Sevilla and all of these like Cordoba and all of these like places where you feel that. Of course, it's like the Christians took over, and so all the mosques they made them into churches, and you couldn't even bow down. Like my mom wanted to like make sujood, like just bow down in one of the things, and the guards were like stopping her. Like
really?
I think they had guns and stuff. They were like damn near like, nah, you gotta get out. You can't even bow down in the church. So that's like a whole nother thing. But she felt so at ease there. Like she felt so at peace and, gypsy music. We went out into to the caves, like where the gypsies were, and, rocking out. Like, that's really her vibe. And I see her brother, he's out in Ethiopia, right? He's amongst the first Rastafarians that repatriated in Shashamani. Like that's the land that Haile Selassie gave to the Rastafarians, and all like repatriates. So he was amongst the first ones to go, him and his wife and his kids, and like, so that's my family. Like, I didn't really, like, they were white, but they were kind of different white. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They kind of had a different vibe to them. So, I didn't really feel it. And like I said, my father's culture was really dominant because my mom was kind of searching for herself. You know what I mean? And searching because, after the Holocaust, nobody really, a lot of Jewish people, they just respectfully put their Torah, in the corner and just forgot about it because they were like, God kind of, forgot about us. And so, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, to me, I never understood that.
It's like a trauma, yeah.
Yeah, it's a trauma. But so she didn't really grow up with those Jewish values. She was trying to understand her Judaism. And when she went to a rabbi, one of these synagogues out here, and she had two black children, my older brother and sister, on her, on her hip. They were like, now we don't really want you, you know what I'm saying? Wow. And she kind of felt that they were pushing her away. So she accepted Islam because, Islam is all embracing,
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really deep story.
It's crazy, right?
It's a really deep story. Yeah. Growing up practicing Islam, was your creativity ever discouraged? Because, just from people that I've watched practice, especially on the East Coast, it's like seems like a lot stern. Islam is a lot more stern out there than here in LA. But would you say, like, here in LA, were you ever discouraged from your creativity while practicing Islam?
I don't think so. I mean, culturally, any African, you talk to any person who has an African parent, they don't want their child. They want their child to be a lawyer or a doctor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the get down. So of course there wasn't that support there, and I had a different upbringing. Like, by the time I was 11 years old, I was out the house. So I didn't really grow up with my parents like that. You know what I mean? So when I was coming into myself and coming into my creativity, I was on my own, I was at like an uncle's house or auntie's house or living at the school dorms out of the country. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that's a part that a lot of people don't really know about me, that I left LA because, the 90s was the 90s and we all know what that was about. And so, I'm from this neighborhood and my dad wasn't having it. So he shipped us out to Senegal, and he didn't come with us. Yeah, me and my brother. And my sister was somewhere else, and so we all got kind of shifted to different parts, compartmentalized, like in different places, and I kind of came into my own because I was literally on my own. Like, I didn't really have that adult figures telling me what to do or even guiding me in Islam. Like, that was kind of just I prayed because that was just innate. It was instilled in me at an early age, like, because I did, grow up in a masjid, and I did, grow up in a Muslim community, but it was, a lot of it was kind of like from me, because I know, like, a 10, 11-year-old child isn't like, I mean, I guess that's the basis, if you give a child like from 0 to 7 years old, like, that's a solid foundation.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Especially like so I was blessed to have like two parents, in my life up until, 10, 11 years old. And then after that, they divorced and, things fell apart and I was away. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of that. But, that gave me a solid foundation, and it gave me a love and a passion for all religions, really. Like, I've always, you know, I used to visit my, you know, my East Coast family, and, you know, they were doing the Rastas, and Rastas are like real Christians. They were reading the Bible, chapter a day, and then, you know what I'm saying, we're sitting and reasoning about like different, you know what I'm saying, like the different philosophies. I would go to their meetings. They would come to the, you know, the Juma on Friday with me, or at least my older cousin would, you know. So it's like there was a cultural exchange that I was, it's just part of my upbringing, that I never really saw any difference in any of the Abrahamic religions. It was all like, look, my mom is Jewish, you know, I got, you know, quote unquote, like Rasta Christian family, I got, you know, Muslim family, like, come on, we're all doing the same thing. Let's just see beyond our points of contention and look at the heart of what we're practicing, you know?
Chapter 2, Growing Up in LA. So, growing up in the LA area during the 90s, I mean, how much of that LA did you see?
Shit, man, you know, I like to tell people this is crazy, because like, so a lot of like, you know, my generation, they got exposed to it because they had uncles, they had, you know, older cousins, they had, you know, cousins from different neighborhoods, they had, you know what I'm saying, and it was that. I did it. My family came out here, my parents came out here by themselves. I mean, I was living in this neighborhood, like right up the street on, you know, like in the overhills over there. And so, just from my school bus, like I was saying, I didn't really have family that, you know, was from different sides or cousins, or, you know, I didn't have that experience. And my dad being, you know, not from here was adamant about, you know, trying to, you know, he wasn't trying to like buy a house like that in the center of the hood. Like he was, you know, he was conscious of that because he wasn't from here, and so he wasn't really, you know, he saw what Black America was at that time, you know, the whole crack epidemic. He saw what that was, and he was adamant about fighting to get us out and for us not to become that same, you know, type of, you know, Black American, right? And so, of course, we got sucked into it because it was just heavy. And we have, you know, friends in the neighborhood and friends in the, you know, and so just with that, I mean, even before that, like just from my school bus, bro, like, all right, the jungles are over there, right? The jungles aren't even the jungles anymore. Like, it was wild back in the day. Like, it was wild, bro. And I mean, just from the school bus, like being, you know, 6, 7 years old, like going to school, I was getting bused to Brentwood Science Magnet at the time. And you know, that's a school on the west side. It's like, you know, super nice, like right on Sunset Boulevard in Brentwood, and, you know, super nice school. But, you know, our bus was the hood bus. We would pick up everybody from the hood, and, you know, we get bused over there. So I'm going, you know, just from the school bus, like going through the jungles, like we saw people get stabbed, like,
oh my goodness.
Literally like the mother of you know, a girl on the bus, like stabbed with like a butcher knife, you know.
Oh
like
my God.
We saw that from the bus. We saw people get shot. We saw, you know, I remember one time we was like riding the bus driver slammed on the brakes, and then we see these people, like we saw this one dude just booking it, like come, running. We didn't know what he was running for, and then we saw 2 dudes following him, you know.
Wow.
And then they ducked through an alley. They dipped through the alley, and then the dude, you know what I'm saying, like they were chasing them with guns, and then boop, all you hear is like, we didn't see it, but all we heard was it was done, and then they came out slapping each other's hands like it was all good. Like it was like, that's like, I have so many stories like that. That's just from the school bus. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
Now like growing up, you know, of course, now I got homies in the jungles. Now I got, you know, friends all around, and you know what I'm saying, and I remember, I was just thinking about it, it's crazy. I have a friend, so one of my best friends growing up, I used to sleep over his house, he used to sleep over my house, like, you know, buddy, like 5th, 6th grade. And, you know, we started getting into it. We started, you know, his older brother was from CBS. That's like a big, you know, like graffiti, you know, tagging crew.
Gotcha.
And he was already like, you know, his older brother was already like well into that, you know, lifestyle, and his name was already known. And we started hanging with him, and you know, like looking at his art book and you know, trying to get our, you know, our creativity. So I started like, you know, graphing and writing, and you know, writing my name on the walls. And my older brother was into that too. And one time we got he got caught jacking some spray cans, you know, we're at UCLA, and there was undercovers over there. So like, you know, by the time we got out, undercovers got him, and you know, I was just there with my friend, my older brother's, my friend's older brother, and you know, it's just that was like it just kept on happening. You know, every time we go out, we were getting into something. We went to Disneyland, and we were just like, there were these hats that we were jacking at that time, and then, you know, one of my boys, like stupid, he got caught. I was always with fools that were getting caught. I never got caught doing, you know what I'm saying? I was always slick, like, but my boys were always getting caught, and then of course, because we're kids, you know,
they want to round up the whole crew.
Yeah, they round up the whole crew. Like, hey, was that young kid with? And I was always the youngest of the clique, like, and you know, that's how you know, LA was. You just get sucked into it. We just had fun. Like, I remember Marina Del Rey. There was a theater over there at the Marina Del Rey, like there's a theater on the other side right now across the street, but in the little like mall where Barnes and Noble is, right there, there was an arcade, right? Before it's, you know, after that, years later, it turned into a movie theater, but there was an arcade back in the day. Everybody from LA knows that arcade was cracking. Forget it was like Friday or Saturday, we used to go over there, and at that time, it was the Venice Shorelines, you know, and I forget what other gang was over there, but Venice Shorelines for sure. And there was always gang fights, blood on the ground, you think, but that was like fun to us. You know what I mean? It was like, we're having a good time. Wow, man, you see, and so you just get sucked into this lifestyle. You know, my best friend, like I said, by the time that, so I was 11, and my dad said, all right, because, you know, my brother went to jail, or he got, I guess, yeah, he went to jail. You know, my dad started, you know, he was already making plans, and then by the time I was 15, and was like, I think I came back here for like a summer visit. My best friend was in jail for murder. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy shit. So I thank God for I thank my father for having a foresight to really just, go somewhere else. Even if you know, he wasn't with us, or you know, there's you know, part of that my life that I didn't have. You know what I mean? And it wasn't like honky dory out there. I was in like crazy situations, but it was kind of better to deal with that craziness than to deal with this craziness. Right. You know what I mean? It was really at that level. Like, it was wild, bro. It was wild. Every like, and Venice Shorelines, they don't really even exist anymore. Right. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear that name anymore. Right. So it's like, they're either dead or in jail. Period. And they used to tell us that as kids, like, oh yeah, you know, this lifestyle, you either gonna be dead or in jail. And you know, we used to see like, in the 6th grade, I remember I went from Brentwood, we went to Paul Revere. So I went to all like West Side schools. My dad wasn't having me go to Crenshaw and all that. You know, he was like trying to get me out. And so at Paul Revere, cats were getting jumped in every day. Every day there was somebody getting jumped into some clique, some gang, like, it was just part of LA culture. You had to click up. You had to, you know, be part of a tagging crew, you know, or like, if you were banging, it's probably because your family was part of a gang, like in multiple generations. And I never experienced it before, you know what I mean? But I go to like, you know, some friend's house, and you see like, you know, grandma sitting there with rags. You see the babies like in front of the TV with rags. And I'm like, yo, this is something different. Cause I was, you know what I'm saying? Right. And I've always seen it as something like, different, like me peering into a lifestyle that's just unknown to me because, you know, I grew up at the masjid, but just being black in LA, you have these influences and it's unavoidable. You're gonna get sucked in, you know? Yeah.
So when did you realize that things shifted here in LA?
Shit, I was gone. So I was gone. You know, I remember I came back like the summer Pop died. But things were crazy. Like that whole, I was gone like I think I left like right after the riots, you know. And after the riots, I think like things quieted down a little bit because there was a gang truce. There was a lot of like, you know, black unity, black and brown unity. Everybody was like, you know, kind of, you know, forget this other stuff, and you know, there's an agenda against this, and it kind of started waking up to that. So it wasn't like outright, but I remember like, you know, you couldn't be on Crenshaw without getting banged on. Like, you know, there's a dude I remember like. He was probably shermed out all the time, but like he used to always be just right down the street, just banging on every car, bro. Like, like the stories and just the experiences that you would hear in LA were outrageous. So I don't know at what point it really started dying down, because it's always like fluctuating in LA. It's always like a period of calm and unity, and then a period of like, all right, you know what I mean? Somebody, you know, does something, and then it's just all out war, and you know. So it's always been kind of up and down, but you know, gentrification came, and that's I've seen that happening slowly, and now it's like an accelerated gentrification, like the jungles. It's a wrap. That's nothing. And, you know, that's it's all bought up. It's all, you know, you could stroll with a poodle down the street, nobody's gonna bother you, you know. I mean, there used to be drive-bys like every night, like every night, bro. If you didn't know nobody over there, you didn't go. Like, I remember with my boy, we were in high school. We were looking for some trees or whatever to smoke, and he was in a baby blue Mustang. And we got lost in because you know it's a bunch of dead end streets, and bro, we started sweating, bro. Like, oh my God, what are you doing? Bro, back up. Like, it was, you know. So I mean, there's certain places you just didn't go. I don't think LA is like that anymore. Like it's really not like what it was in the '90s. And I think drugs definitely were like, you know, everybody was on crack, shermed out, you know. Shit. I mean, mainly that, and people were out of their mind. It was a riot out here. So I don't know at what point, because I came. So like there was a lot of back and forth, and then being that like I lost, you know, my boy was in jail. You know, I lost contact with him. He moved out to Boston. A lot of just my early connections, like a lot of people when they really start hanging and running the streets, it's like from what age? 13, 14, 15. I was gone. You know what I'm saying? I was in a whole different experience. So a lot of those experiences and a lot of those like, you know, brotherhoods and friendships, I didn't develop out here. You know what I'm saying? So it was really kind of a blessing, kind of like, you know, it could go two ways, because a lot of people have associates that they go back to, and you know, they kind of like rise together, especially in LA. LA is real cliquey. If you don't know nobody for like, you know, over 10, like you kind of, you know, kind of an outsider. So I came back and kind of had to redevelop a lot of like kinships and relationships, and you know, it was always kind of weird because I had a different value system. You know what I'm saying? Like my most formative years were out of this country. You know, like I had my basis, LA, okay, cool. But then I went to Paris for 1 year. I went to Senegal for the rest, like 5 years. You know what I'm saying? So I came back different. You know, and to this day, it's still like adapting to the culture and adapting to the lifestyle and the value systems, and I still, you know, I'm like shit, you know, ready to move back because it's just different, bro, out here. Like the mindset is totally different. You know, there's good and bad to everything. You know, I'm not saying like over there is paradise either, because I was running the streets out there, like with the, you know what I'm saying, like cats didn't have guns, but they had machetes. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a whole different, like, you know. Actually, I was with the only clique that was strapped up at the time. Like I was, you know, but you know, it just was what it was. They were emulating what the lifestyle was out here. All the beefs, all the, you know, that was death row time. You know, so everybody was emulating that. You know, right. Tupac and Biggie had everybody hype and wanted to choose sides. Like, so it was cool because I was from LA. I was the cool guy. You know, like hey Tupac. You know, but yeah, man, it's just gang culture was so impactful that even out there was, you know, people were really like getting into that lifestyle, right. and just a bad influence of. So I could imagine LA during those years that I was absent. Right. You know, yeah.
Chapter 3: My evolution through hip hop.
So, at what point did you? At what point in your life did I want to say both hip hop and being vegan came into your life? At what point did they come?
Yeah, I mean, it must have been like after 2012. I've been rapping forever. I've been rapping since like, you know, since a kid, really, like right. Since even before I left LA. Like, you know, it's always just, you know, just having fun, and hip hop is so influential. Right. So I went out there. I think I wrote my first rap when I was abroad, and it was called Home Alone, because I was like, you know, it was just
out, like the outsider.
Yeah, it was just, you know, part of my experience. And you know, coming back here, I always was positive. You know, I didn't grow up in a lifestyle. I didn't believe that we should be killing each other, and you know what I'm saying? Like what cats are waking up to right now, and like a lot of cats, like I was just working out with my boy right now, and you know, he has like a playlist with a lot of songs he skips, because it's like, or if he hears a bar from a rapper, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot that nigga in, you know what I'm saying? Like, skip. You know what I'm saying? Because he's coming into that consciousness, or he came into that consciousness. And so I've been in that consciousness for a long time. So it's like, even a lot of hip hop, I didn't even fuck with. I didn't even like really listen to it, because it's like, bro, like, okay, I used to listen to Spice One. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, that was that shoot 'em up bag. He was killing everybody. You know, but there was a certain point after that, like after the Tupacs and you know, like Hit 'Em Up, like, and all of those records, like, where it's just like, as a kid, it charges you up so much, you feel so
undefeatable.
Undefeated, like you just feel charged up, and so. In a negative way, you know, you're like, man, anybody can get it right now, you know, like, it's crazy to influence, and so, you know, I was always conscious of that, and I was always like, I was listening to French hip hop, you know what I'm saying, like, so I speak French, like French was like my first language out here in LA, you know, that's my mother tongue, really. I learned English later. And so, because my brother and sister, they went to school, and so then they came back and they started speaking English in the household, and I kind of picked it up. So, so I was listening to French hip hop, and that's a totally different vibe. They weren't on like, you know, banging and all of that, and you know, but right when I left though too, you know, Banging on Wax came out. A lot of the unity, you know, like Digital Underground, a lot of the fun hip hop kind of started coming out, and so there was a shift, and so, you know, I made that choice in my music ever since a child. Like, okay, this music does something. This music is overly sexualized. This music is, you know what I'm saying?
It trained me to think this way.
Yeah, bro. And so after, like, I would say like in 2000, who was it, like? You know, I think like I think hip hop changed when Snoop went down south. You know,
with no limit.
No limit,
right.
And that opened up like a whole, you know, like the drug traffic and you know what I'm saying, like all of that, like from down south to the west, and you know, a lot of that sound changed, and it was infused with like a lot of just stuff that was just foreign to me. And so I never could really full out vibe with it, you know. And so rapping, I was always like infusing my own experiences and my lifestyle, and health was really the, to this day, the pinnacle and the cornerstone of what I believe in and what I want out of life.
Right.
Like health is everything.
Right.
And so it just made sense. Like I had different rap names. Actually, I was 50 when I was a kid. Like that was my tagging name. I would hit up 50, all the time. And even in Senegal, a lot of cats still, like early on, they knew me as 50. Then I heard of another rapper that was named 50, and I was like, okay, I switched it up. But my nickname as a kid, since before speaking age, has always been Dr. Pooch. And so when I got into this lifestyle of like, holistic health and holistic healing and all of that, I'm like, yo, I'm Dr. Pooch. Like I'm Pooch. Like that's really who I am.
Right.
And I just found a way to merge that conversation, and the rest is
history.
Yeah.
So Dr. Pooch came from something that you were always called since you were like a little infant.
Yeah.
Nice. That's dope.
Yeah.
Now with you've married the holistic lifestyle along with your creativity, and now you're introducing it to the world.
Yeah.
But as you're introducing it to the world, like I'm noticing that you have a very grassroots like approach to marketing yourself, but still yet you managed to like get support from Nipsey and John Saley and then Maxine Waters. So it's like how what skills have you like honed to kind of like get you to that point? Like you're still able to capture the attention of very powerful people.
Man, it's a blessing, it's just being in alignment. If you know anybody from Senegal, like they're hustlers, they're street hustlers, like, that's just ingrained in our blood. Like,
right.
So, I'm used to just running the streets and just, jumping in front of somebody, like, hey, what's up? Like, talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of like, I developed like street sales.
Mm-hmm.
I went to New York, so I had my family out in New York, and early on, maybe like 2003.
I know what kind of vibe you're talking about. Like everybody was CDs, yeah, right, yeah.
Man, and like it'll be like a desolate spot, like street, like nothing. Then you turn the corner and it's like 1,000 people.
Like a mob of street vendors, yeah.
Right. I remember being a kid and seeing people's response when I tell them, oh yeah, I'm from LA. Oh yeah, Slauson Avenue, like that's where I live. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you see Dr. Dre's video? Like where they got lowriders down there? Hey, that's the park. That's Ken Palm Park right there. Like that's the park. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so it's like I was kind of like, I don't want to say venerated, but I was like, I was that dude because I was that young kid straight from LA at the height of LA's popularity worldwide, right? So I understood the culture worldwide of how powerful we are from these streets,
Right.
So I always knew it wasn't a top-down approach. It was from the streets up, and to make yourself from here, And so that was always my goal, is to validate my movements through the streets, through what I knew, through the power of what I realized LA was, and just being, a black man from out here, like I understood the psychology, the world psychology of what that represented, and still, honing that skill and, honing that thought in my mind to make sure that I can, validate certain things in people's minds because they want it in a certain sense, just like commercially, you know what I mean? Like all this gentrification going on Crenshaw Boulevard, like they understand what Crenshaw represents to the mind. Nipsey understood what Crenshaw, is to the mind of people. You know what I'm saying? This was legendary, bro. Like, we can talk about like the peak eras of when Crenshaw was popping. Like it was fun out here,
Right.
And so I always wanted to infuse myself, even though you know, I was taken out and didn't have like a lot of the, you know, the cliques backing me and a whole neighborhood backing me or whatever, but I still wanted to make sure that, yo, like, this is where I'm from. I want to make sure that people connect this story because it's a part of my story. Right. So that's, you know, that's a reason why I still keep it grassroots, and I just want to. I think I made my mark here. A lot of people know me, man. All these barbershops, a lot of men. I've sold thousands of books, like up and down. You know, Crenshaw, Slauson, La Brea. You know what I'm saying? Like just in the neighborhood, bro. Thousands of books, like. That's already a paradigm shift. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like to sell books, like out the trunk, like and be surviving. That's something to me. And so I think that's the essence of my grassroots mentality. It's like I want to make sure that I'm able to do this from, you know, from the mud, like from the dirt, from the ground up, and so people can see that this is something real, you know. Yeah. So yeah, that's really like why I just keep it in terms of like the imagery, in terms of like, you know, some like promos that I'm putting out. I just make sure that it's, you know, the stories are told like from here, like, you know, throughout high school. Like I was right there in the next lot behind where Nipsey's shop is. Like that was my kicking spot. Like all through high school for like 2 years, my boy owned. It was a laundromat like back in the day, right across from Slauson Donuts, and like that was my boy spot. So like that was our kicking spot. Right. And so it's like, you know, this you know the hood or whatever. Like I'm not from the hood, you know, but I'm from the hood. Like this is my neighborhood.
Chapter 4: The Healer.
I know each one of the books have a different topic, but they're generally about holistic health.
For sure.
And you said that you got your certification in 2012.
Yeah.
Well, so it seems like you have over like 70 books. So it's like, what topics do you cover? Like,
so man.
What's your process of like of creating the story for?
Well, when I was writing like this, the Get Well Johnny, like what you know of my books, is the Get Well Johnny series. That was kind of like, you know, my initiation into like writing books and like getting into you know, fully merging like the Dr. Pooch and you know, character, like with the hip hop character and all of that. Like that really was like a big leap in that direction. And so holistic health, as you know it, it's all encompassing. It's massage therapy. It's you know, it's exercise. It's financial health. It's literally every scope of a person's well-being. And so, how I saw it, I was like, okay, if I'm gonna be doing business, right? Because I started like I told you before, I started taking on clients. There's, you know, I had to have 1 million clients to get, you know, some type of success, and I'm from LA. I think big, right? So I always want to like, you know, think about the grandiose like picture, and of course like hip hop is, you know, the cornerstone of my life, like, you know, a big part of it as a writer, and, you know, just as like a consumer of you know, part of that generation. And so I was able to like early on, I followed a school tour, right? And so a business partner at that time, like we were working together, and he was DJing these school tours. And so I'm like, listening, like, wow, seeing what they lacked, like, oh, they're talking about bullying. Oh, I got something for you. Wrote that bully book,
right?
And oh, okay, they're talking about this, and then just ideas started flooding to me, like so from like 2012 to like 2013, 14, I wrote so many books. The Get Well Johnny book series that you're talking about, there's 6 books that are out, but I'm getting ready to release the next 6 out of that series.
Bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that in itself, I see that as like an initiation into holistic health that I want as a mandatory health curriculum for like nationwide, really worldwide, because we're all, you know, we don't know basic, even doctors don't know basic concepts. And I think everybody is at a child childhood or childlike level in terms of their health knowledge. Most doctors don't know basic concepts, of holistic health.
Right.
And so I had to take an approach like to just like present it in a way that's digestible for kids, but also it's not the kids' fault that they're obese or that they're diabetic already or that they're dealing with heart. It's like they're literally dealing with adult issues.
Right.
That's their parents' fault.
Right.
So how can I change that? Okay, I gotta infuse some stuff for the parents now too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just made the books even holistic, right? So yeah, and I have many more books like that I'll be releasing after this series is done. God willing, like by 2020 when this year ends, I'll release all those 6 books. And so I just want to corner the whole market because I saw the lack. Like nobody's talking about holistic health for kids. Nobody's talking about the health industry is a $600 billion or trillion dollar industry.
Right.
It's huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and that's for adults though. Majority of those products are for adults. But what about the kids? What about the kids? And I think that they've been left out of this conversation. And the reason why we're in this situation in our world is because we were all miseducated. You know what I'm saying? If you went to public school,
good for you.
I mean, bro, like we used to down that chocolate milk at school. Like we used to have races. Like, no more, who can do it faster? Like we were raised in this nonsense. Like you see all the stuff that's coming out of Hollywood and all. We were raised like our the people who were supposed to lead us really like wanted to destroy us. You know what I'm saying? Like consciously, like you know what I'm saying? They wanted to hurt us. You know what I'm saying? So what about the kids? Like that, it just keeps on coming back. Like, what about the kids? What about the kids? And I feel like because I'm Dr. Pooch, like that, it just always brings back my childhood. You know what I mean? And it just all made sense to me that I have to be this person to bring the kids into this into themselves and remind their parents that they have unresolved issues as a child, and they need to go back into their childhood and heal that little child within them.
So,
you know what I'm saying? So just that logo of like, the kid like meditating and all of that, like it's so symbolic to me that it's like, yo, this is literally us. Like this is where we are. And like Jesus said, and or the Christ or whatever we call him. He said something of that we have to return back to our childhood to really understand like that life and that connection to the divine.
Right.
And so it's like, and this is in a lot of books. So we have to go back into our childhood, so I'm meditating on those thoughts. I like turn those thoughts in my mind for so long.
Even when we have mental illness, it's like you have to rewire the brain from your childhood.
Childhood, man.
Right.
So I'm saying, like we said earlier, from that 0 to 7. It's literally the foundation of our life.
Right.
If you can hold a child and guide them properly from 0 to 7, feed them right, guide, or most importantly, just guide them right and be there, like nurturing them emotionally properly, then they have a very high chance of success and being good people. Like Nipsey, okay, he was a gangbanger, but he had a very decent father, you know what I'm saying? A very decent mother, like, good family structure. Grandma was like good value system. And when you meet him, like when you met him, you know what I'm saying? Like you see that it reached from him. Like he hey, what's up, King? Like, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Oh, all right, King. Like, okay, we on the same level. Like, so he understood something that a lot of us don't understand yet, and he was out here giving back to the kids, because he understood like that there's a certain like spiritual awakening that once you get there, it's the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like everything else is like bro, y'all are lost. Like an adult has choices. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Google this. Like the information is out there.
Right.
What about the kids?
Right.
You know? So that's just been my thing. I found my niche. I found really my passion and like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
What God put me here for. You know what I'm saying? So that's really like why I'm still rapping. Like I shouldn't be rapping no more, you know what I'm saying? Like I got my accolades, I got records playing around the world right now. But what about the kids? The kids still need something to rock to, they need something to emulate, you know what I'm saying? And if it's not us doing it, they're not gonna do it of their own, will. Like they're just gonna follow what's popular. Oh, shoot 'em up, bang bang. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Slang this, like they're gonna get into the lingo of what they think sells.
Right.
And so it's up to us, like, conscious creators. We have to create the new cool. We have to be so cool in our, like, bro, like I keep, we're on Crenshaw, so I have to bring up Nip. Like he was at, Simply Wholesome every morning getting his smoothie after he dropped his daughter off to school and spent time with her. You know what I'm saying? And instill those values in her. Like it's that the job, especially of black men, like from LA, is so important. But we have to shift all of that energy, because if we don't teach it to our kids, bro, it's a wrap. Like already for our like right now, we're in the first generation where the parents may outlive their kids.
Right.
Facts, like that's statistics. The kids are so sick that they will not outlive their parents. So what type of future do we have? There is no future. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If they're not gonna have kids, or they're not even gonna be able to raise their kids, and it's up to their sick parents, you know what I'm saying? Miseducated parents, like we have trauma, bro. Like so it's like, so that's just my overall passion. That's my overall goal, is to like merge all of these things and just to remind us all like that, we have to be mindful of that child inside. We have to go back to our childhood. We have to treat ourselves like we're a child. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just sit, and that's how I trained a lot of my clients. Like, yo, if you have a baby, like you see the beautiful baby over there, like if his mom knows damn well if that baby doesn't eliminate, like poop for one day, there's a problem.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But why do adults feel that it's okay to not eliminate, like for days?
Right.
Like people are like comfortable, like even to the point last summer or like 2 summers ago, I saw in downtown there were like these little, those model mannequins, like putting, selling underwear, like whatever, like thing, they have them outside of the shops. So they had the model mannequins wearing an underwear that said I pooped today. And I was like mind blown, like, whoa, this is
Why do people have to be reminded?
but it's like a bumper sticker. It's so part of our culture that constipation is a regular issue.
Normal, yeah.
It's the new normal.
Right.
So everybody can relate to this. Oh, I pooped today. Congratulations, yay!
Right.
What the, you know what I'm saying? What the hell, bro? Like,
Right.
what's going on? If your baby didn't poop for one day, you will be massaging this tummy, you would
Taking them
be
to the
giving
doctor.
like,
Trying to figure out what
tamarind or something. You'd be trying to like figure out like, what can I give my child to make them poop? They're uncomfortable, the baby's fussy, they're whining, they're rolling around, like, what can I do? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But why don't we treat ourselves with that same care? Because we're detached from that child inside. You know what I'm saying? And so, long-winded answer, bro, but
it's all good.
It's a lot to say about this.
It's all good. Actually, this is the last one.
Yeah.
And two minutes on the clock. What would you want the world to know about Dr. Pooch?
Hey.
Or what have we left out that you feel?
Man, if only my books, if only the Get Well Johnny, if only this first series comes out, let alone like I have a whole bunch of other books, and music and a whole bunch of other like concepts for shows and this and that. Like, forget all that. If only these books, these 12 books that I'll be putting out under the Get Well Johnny banner, if a generation, if that becomes the new Dr. Seuss, bro, I did my job. You know what I'm saying? Like that people will grow up understanding basic health concepts. Like the World Health Organization, all these people, they're talking about, let's try to reduce the world salt intake by 3 grams a day. You see what I'm saying? Let's try to reduce it by 3 grams.
Right.
And that's a huge impact on coronary heart disease and kidney failure. You know, all of these like things that sodium aggravates, right? So it's like, if they understand that just a little bit of knowledge, right, can
Take you far away.
can change the world demographics. Imagine a whole generation of kids that are trained in holistic thoughts. Oh, I'm gonna go back to nature instead of going to the doctor. I'm gonna go. There's something that, you know, they have a relate. They're not gonna work for companies that are gonna dump out into the ocean. They're not gonna work for, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They will have a different philosophy and an accountability and know that we're all created. So if I just do that, if people know Dr. Pooch just for that, bro, success. I did my work.
For full-length interviews, make sure you subscribe and follow Downright Entertainment Television on Facebook and YouTube.